Hey everybody, welcome to my kitchen. I'm so excited that you're here. I love having people in my kitchen. And it's December 14th. Can you believe it is less than 2 weeks until Christmas? I find that hard to believe. I don't know if y'all do, but it's been kind of a difficult year, and it can be hard to keep that separate or keep it from spilling over into Christmas. We came up with the name of this webinar weeks ago. It was when someone asked, well, is Christmas even happening this year? And I think everybody just yelled, yes, yes, Christmas is happening this year. And now we're in mid-December, and the answer to that is still yes. Yes, Christmas is happening this year. Now, you might be cooking for 2 or 4 instead of the 10 or 15 that you're normally cooking for, or you might be missing some people that usually spend the holidays with, but we can adapt. We can adapt our recipes and they'll still be delicious. We can Zoom with people that aren't here. We can, even if they're not here in person, we can still see the faces, the faces of the people that we love. We can play games. We can even record it. So if your brother gives some stupid answer to Trivial Pursuit, you'll have it recorded so you can hold it over his head for years to come. So there are benefits to the way we're doing Christmas this year. So we can adapt, we can tweak, we can do all kinds of things over Zoom. And so Christmas might look a little different, but that doesn't mean your recipes won't still be delicious. Your decorations will still be beautiful. So Christmas may look different, but with a little tweaking, Christmas is definitely not canceled, as Helen was saying. So let's just take a poll and see where you are in your Christmas enthusiasm or your Christmas preparation. Helen's going to launch that for us.
All right, so we have, when do you start decorating for Christmas? So Lisa has the day after Thanksgiving. I can't wait to start. Just getting started now. Or what? Mine are still up from last year. That's funny. I have an aunt who just puts her decorated tree under the steps, like in their den. Like they just wheel it in and wheel it out. It never is.
I like that. That's convenient. I'm all for making things easier. Work smarter, not harder, right?
Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it?
I love that somebody picked the last one though, Helen.
I know. I'm glad. Why not?
Yeah.
I have people that leave their Christmas lights up all year. Why not?
Yeah.
I think it's worthy. All right. It's been up for a while, so we're going to go ahead and end the poll. Hopefully those that figured it out. And here are the results. So you all can see, when do you start decorating your Christmas? And so the winner is, wow, we have a bunch of very prepared people. They start right after Thanksgiving. What do you think?
I love it. I love it that there is that enthusiasm for Christmas, that everybody's already getting decorated, doing their shopping. That maybe we should have asked that question. Have you finished your shopping? But I wouldn't want to answer it, so I'm glad we didn't ask that. So, all right. So I know the reason you're here is to make some recipes, to cook some food. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to kind of work our way through, and we're going to start with an appetizer. So we're going to do spinach balls. A lot of times at Christmas, you'll have maybe sausage balls, or sometimes they're not the healthiest option, but this is a spinach ball. So first thing we're going to do, and you can use frozen spinach or you can use fresh spinach. If you're using fresh spinach, you'll need about 3 pounds of spinach. And then what you can do is put your spinach in a bowl, pour boiling water over it and cover it, and then take that off 3 minutes later and your spinach is ready to go. So if you want to quick cook it without using another pan, because I'm all for not using tons of pans, one pan cooking is the greatest. It's almost as good as rolling your Christmas tree back under the stairs. So that's an easy way to just quick cook your spinach if you want to use fresh, but frozen will work too. But the key with this is to get all the water out. You have to get all the water out for your spinach balls to really come together. So I've wrapped paper towels around this and just squeezed every bit of water, and you're going to end up with about 2/3 of spinach. Can you believe, do you ever cook spinach and you just fill the pan, and then when you're done, it's like this little bitty bit? So that's about how it works here. So we're going to take the spinach and we're just going to do just a chop, because we want little pieces in our spinach. We don't want a big spinach leaf in our sausage balls. So we're just going to chop this up just a little bit. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it. My herbs are getting in the way. Just chop it right. Just a quick chop. And whenever you're chopping, you always want to leave the tip. Try to leave the tip on the board if you can. That just stabilizes your knife. And you always want your knives to be super sharp. You think you want them dull so you don't cut yourself, but usually you'll use more pressure than you need, and that's when accidents happen. So keep your knives sharp. You can take them to a hardware store, and usually they'll sharpen them, or you can learn how to do it yourself. I'm sure there's tons of videos on YouTube on how to sharpen your own knives. All right, so we've got this chopped. Let me get my bowl. And this is super easy. And that's the recipes I like. They use fresh ingredients, but they're pretty easy, you know, not a ton of ingredients. So we've got our spinach in here. Now we're gonna add 3 eggs that I've already beat. I'm gonna add those. All right. And then I'm gonna add a cup of panko. And panko is just a breadcrumb, just like you'd find it in the breadcrumb aisles where you'd find panko breadcrumbs. It's just kind of a thicker breadcrumb. All right, dump those in. And now we're gonna add cheese. And I have a mixture, this is about ½ cup. I have mozzarella and Parmesan. You could use all mozzarella, or you could use, if you like Colby, you could use Colby. You could Gruyere, you know, just whatever cheese you like or you have will work in this. All right, now we're gonna add parsley. Now you can use fresh parsley. I'm gonna use dried. I couldn't get it in the store today, the fresh. So when you're going, if your recipe calls for fresh and all you have is dried, it's 1 to 3. So if it's like 3 tablespoons of fresh, you use 1 of dried. So we need about a ¼ cup of fresh. So I'm just gonna add a heaping tablespoon, of parsley, because we know there are 4 tablespoons in a cup, right? All right. Now we're gonna add a little garlic powder. And we wanna add powder for this, not minced garlic, because you want that garlic flavor throughout the whole sausage ball. All right, that's 1 teaspoon. Now we're gonna add a little salt and pepper. Now with salt, if I was using all Parmesan or a saltier cheese, I might not use as much salt. If you're using all mozzarella, then I would use a whole teaspoon of salt. But if you're using a saltier cheese like Parmesan, you might use a little less. It's just your personal preference. All right, salt, and now a little fresh pepper. Fresh. I think I say in every webinar that we need to shred our cheese, not buy it already shredded. It's always better. It tastes better. It doesn't have the fillers that they use in the shredded bagged kind to keep it loosened up. It's just cheese. And I like ingredients just how they are. All right, so we're gonna mix this up. And we're gonna mix this, let me show you what it looks like there. We're gonna mix this until it holds together. So if you maybe didn't get your spinach quite as dry as it needed to be, just add a little more breadcrumbs. That will help it to hold together. We want all those spices to be mixed around in there. Let y'all see that. Get the cheese all mixed in. And these are great because it's like a vegetable with cheese wrapped around it, which I like. So kind of hiding your vegetables in there in your appetizer. We're always looking for ways to get more vegetables in our meals, aren't we? All right. So that's all coming together pretty well. See that? And I've got my pan right here. Pull this over. And we're just going to put this in about a tablespoon size balls. See if it's holding together. Yep, it's holding together pretty well. Just going to make a ball. And you're going to put these about a thumb's width apart. So just put your thumb sideways in between. And that's how close they can be to each other. You don't want them touching, but you don't have to put them too far apart. We're just going to put these on here. And this makes 22 balls, and they're about 40 calories per ball. All right. And I'm putting these on parchment paper, so it's easier to clean up. They don't stick. And we're going to bake those in the oven at 350 for about 30 to 40 minutes. You just need to watch them, and I'll show you what they look like when they come out through the miracle of video. See these? So they're nice and toasty brown on the bottom and on the top. So they have a little bit of crunch, but the inside is super tender, really cheesy. So just an easy, what do we use, like 6, 7 ingredients for these? And these freeze well. What you would do is freeze them before you cook them. Just put them on like a baking sheet if you have room in your freezer for about an hour, and then take them out and pop them in a freezer safe like a freezer bag or some kind of airtight container, and then they can be in the freezer for a month. So if you want to make those ahead, you can do that and freeze them. And when you're ready to bake them, you don't have to defrost them. Just put them right on the pan and put them in the oven like you would normally do. They're ready to go. So this is a good make ahead for Christmas. All right, Helen, any questions? All right.
We do have a question.
Okay.
We have a vegan question. My daughter-in-law is vegan, allergic to dairy. What can I use instead of cheese?
Well, they have vegan cheeses. So she could use a vegan cheese in that and it would work. It would work pretty well.
Okay.
And also, if you're gluten-free, you can use almond flour in there. So it works just as well with almond flour. You might add a tablespoon of psyllium husks, which you see that in Metamucil, but don't use Metamucil, even though it says on the ingredients that that's what it is. You'd have to get that in and if you're a vegetarian or vegan, you're probably familiar with it and know where to get it in a nutrition store or something like that. That's what makes it, that's a fiber, so it makes it bind together,
Can you spell that, Lisa, and I'll put it in chat?
P-S-Y-L-L-I-U-M, and then second word H-U-S-K.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't even know what she said. Yeah. All right. Somebody wants to know, could you do it with zucchini?
You could. Well, zucchini is very wet, and you can't get the water out of it like you can from spinach, is the only downside. It would be hard to get them to hold together and still keep that zucchini. But you could. What I would do is shred it and then get your paper towels and just squeeze like crazy and try to get all the water out and then give it a try.
Okay, I think we're good.
All right. So next we're going to do a salad, but let's do another poll first, Helen. See what people are thinking.
Okay, we're gonna do a poll. Lisa she has so many. Uh-oh, I didn't stop sharing this one. I'm sorry, guys. I'll do the better next time. Real tree or artificial tree? This is an easy peasy question. So real tree, nothing beats the smell of fresh cut pine, or artificial. It's more convenient, cleaner, and non-allergenic. So either one works. So, well, it's interesting to see we have 68. This is, everybody's voting. So I don't know if Lisa might be able to see the voting. Yeah. So we're almost everybody's voted on this one. So, y'all might be surprised at this. All right. Well, I'll give you, it's only been up 30 seconds. So it seems like everybody likes voting on this one. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end it. Here's the results. Here you go. Check it out. We have artificial has won this poll. So there you go. But 21% have a fresh cut tree.
Artificial's just easier. You know, I'm all for easier. We think everything has to be a certain way or, a certain tradition, and we're not going for perfection. We're going for fun, ease, just being together. That's the focus, not getting everything just perfect. So I love that.
Hey, Lisa, we have one more spinach ball question. Do you eat them warm or cold?
You eat them warm.
And how long do they stay fresh? Like, do you want to make them right away? Like,
yeah, you would want to cook them and serve them pretty soon after you bake them.
And then everybody wants to know, are they going to get the recipes?
Yes, they're going to get all the recipes,
of course,
in the email afterwards. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, I'll give you some bonus recipes too.
Thank you.
All right. Any more questions? All right. Now we're going to do a salad. We've gone from appetizer to salad. A lot of times we don't see a salad, at least traditionally, on the Thanksgiving or the Christmas table. We have you have your macaroni and cheese and your mashed potatoes. So I just love to have that pop of color from a nice salad. And this salad, I love the salad too, because if you're a salad prepper, if you do salad in a jar or any of those or prep your salads for the week, this is a perfect salad for that also, in addition to be super, super cute. All right, we're going to start with a plate of greens. That's how we're going to start our base. All right. And then we're going to add some sweet potato. And this is just sweet potato that I roasted in the oven. We're going to cut them in bite-sized pieces, if you can see, just small pieces. And you're going to just toss them with a little bit of olive oil and salt and pepper. You don't really want any other spices because there's going to be a lot going on in this salad, and we're going to have a dressing. So you don't need to put all your spice on your sweet potatoes, just a little bit of salt and pepper. And just another thing about when you're roasting sweet potatoes, you want to make sure there's room. You want them in one layer on the pan. It takes about 20 minutes, that size. You cook them for about 10 minutes and give them a toss and cook them for another 10 minutes, just till they're tender and they're roasted and a little bit caramelized. Now, cutting sweet potatoes, they're so hard to cut. So what I always do is just cut them in half, and then I have that base, and it just makes it a lot easier to cut down, and it's not slipping off. If you're trying to cut this whole potato like this, it's not as easy. So when you're cutting your sweet potato, always cut it in half and then slice down. And then you can cut it in your cubes for this recipe or any. And notice how I'm trying to keep the tip close. I want the tip, especially for something thick like this where the knife could slip. Just try to keep that tip down on the board as you're cutting. All right. So let's go ahead and add these. Let me get these out of my way. And we're going to build this salad. So I'm going to add my sweet potato right over here. And then the next thing we're going to add, and we're building this kind of, if you know what a charcuterie board is, or a cheese board, that's what we're kind of building with this salad. So the next thing we're going to add is wild rice. And wild rice is something you want to cook ahead of time because it takes a lot longer than regular rice. It takes about 45 minutes, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. You'll just need to read your package because they're not all the same. So there's no one set rule for wild rice. You can make your own if you want to. With just a few spices and things, you can make your own rice. And if you wanted it half wild and half, long grain white rice, you could do that too if you don't want it all wild. But this gives a nice crunchy, earthy flavor. And we're going to use about a cup. Let me get a spoon here. And I'm just going to put this just like we're building the board. Just going to put it right here. And wild rice is a great one to do ahead too, because you can put it in muffin tins and freeze it in the freezer and then drop it in a bag, and then you can just pull out however much you need. If you're building your salad, it works well for that too. If you're doing the prepping or the jarred salad, sometimes we don't think about using wild rice, but it's got a lot of flavor, got a lot of spices, so it's a good thing to use in your jar salad. All right, next thing we're going to add, let me move this to the side, and we're going to add little nuts. I have pecans, but you could have sliced almonds or just whatever nut you have, and you want to roast those first. It just gives them more flavor. And I'm just going to put a few just around here. Just sprinkle them around. All right, move this here. So I'm going to do some slicing. Now we're going to add apple. I'm going to cut my apple. I don't like to worry about coring, so I just cut the core off. And then we're going to do some nice slices because it looks pretty on the plate. And this is a Honeycrisp, but you could use a Granny Smith if that's what you have. This is one of those salads that's easy to substitute. You can substitute anything. All right. I'm just going to make this look pretty because the way things look on the plate also makes a difference. So just put slices there. Let me do another one real quick. And this has a great dressing too that I love. It's kind of a lemony balsamic. And we'll make that in just a minute. And you can use it on lots of other things. All right, so we have our apple. Now we're going to add avocado. Oh, I have one. Here it is. And this just adds a little oil and creaminess. You got the creaminess of your avocado, the crunch and sweetness of your apple, the spicy wild rice that's tender. All right. Then I'm just going to slice it in slices, just like this. Y'all can see that. All right, let me get a spoon. I'll just scoop this out. There we go. And then it just all comes right out, so it looks pretty on my plate. There we go. Got your slices right there in the middle. Y'all can see that. All right. Y'all notice I'm using my First Place for Health sweat towel as my dish towel today. Looks pretty bad right now, but it's very handy as a dish towel. It's a good one to use for it. All right, so we have our rice Let me show you with this. Our rice, our sweet potato, our apple, our avocado. And now we're gonna add just a little bit of cheese. I have some feta. You could use goat cheese if you prefer. Just gonna sprinkle that around. It looks a lot like a cheese board, doesn't it? The way we're building this. All right, got feta. Just gonna sprinkle it around. Just about 1/4 cup. All right, and now I'm gonna add, you could add cranberries, just dried cranberries. I'm gonna add a little pomegranate, but cranberries would work just as well in this also, just to give it some more color. I'm just trying to build it out and just make it stand out. Not like it's the same old boring salad. All right, got some pomegranate on there. All right, now let's mix our dressing. And I'll show you how we do that. All right, we are gonna add about a tablespoon of minced garlic. Whether you mince it yourself or if you buy it at the store, already minced, that works too. Works smarter, not harder. And everybody knows how to cut garlic, right? Or peel garlic. You just pop it with your knife and peel it off. But sometimes that peel still doesn't want to come off. So what you can do is microwave it for about 5 seconds and that peel will just fall right off. All right, now we're gonna add a couple other things. We're gonna add a tablespoon of spicy mustard. And just whatever your favorite spicy mustard is, you can use that. And then we're gonna add some balsamic. We're gonna add 3 tablespoons of balsamic. And y'all can get this recipe. I still see that pole up there. I don't know if it's supposed to be on. All right, 3 tablespoons of balsamic. There we go. 1, 2, 3. You always want to have a vinegar and an oil. You need that oil. You need a little bit of oil to make it stick to your thing. So, and this is a great dressing that you could use even as a marinade for fish or just for any salad if you're roasting vegetables. So you could double this or triple it and keep it in your fridge and just use it for all kinds of things. All right, now we need, this is just 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, just I've already squeezed lemon juice. All right, we get a little whisk. And then I'm gonna add about 1/4 cup of oil. This is olive oil. I like that better in a dressing than maybe canola or some other kind of oil. And if you are gonna make extra and keep this, I'm making a smaller salad than this dressing really calls for. So I'm not gonna use it all. So if you store it in the fridge, when you bring it out, that oil is gonna have solidified, but that's fine. It's still perfectly fine. Just pop it in your microwave for about 5 seconds, not 5 minutes, and just give it a shake and it'll perk right back up. It'll mix back in. And I love mixing dressings in these little jars. It just makes it so much easier to mix. You just put the top on and shake it up. All right. I'm also gonna add just a little bit of lemon zest, just to give it a little more zestiness. That's why it's so good on fish. It has that lemon. Love it. All right, give it one more shake. And it makes a pretty good size dressing. So this would be perfect if you're doing salads in a jar. You could do it for all 5. If you do it 5 days of this would work for all 5 days. All right. And then we're just gonna drizzle this. Let me get this stuff out of the way so y'all can see this. Here we go. And we'll just drizzle this over the salad. There we go. Isn't that pretty? All that color. You've got a little sweet potato, you got a little carb, you got a little apple, you have some good healthy oils from the avocado, and the little pop of color from the pomegranates. And even if you had cranberries, you still have that red. It's just a great, easy salad. Perfect for the middle of your table, just to add some color. It's almost as pretty as a, table decoration. So, all right, Helen, what do you think? Any questions?
Yeah, it looks beautiful. Someone said they never heard of spicy mustard and wanted to know if you had names of specific kind of spicy mustard or a kind that you use.
Well, there's a lot of them. You can even get a store brand at whatever your grocery store is, but this one is great. It's just Dijon is a spicy mustard. You can see that. Yeah. So any kind of spicy mustard. And it'll say that. Just look in the mustard aisle and you'll see spicy mustard as one of the options.
One question is, how many does that salad serve?
This would serve probably 3-ish because I didn't make it as big as I would normally make it. And when you get the recipe, it'll show you how many it serves.
And then from the spinach ball recipe, can you use some dipping sauce like spaghetti sauce or something?
Yes, yes. Tomato sauce, if you have a homemade marinara, would be perfect with that. Definitely, you can use dipping sauces.
All right, there you go. All right, are we ready for a poll then?
Yeah. Do another one.
And I think the poll is just showing because I don't think it was on there. Okay, so this one is about Christmas songs, everybody. So, and we listed a bunch of Christmas songs. So all of the songs we have listed, which are your favorite? We have Silent Night, Oh Come All You Faithful, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, Jingle Bells, Santa Claus is Coming to Town. It's the most wonderful time of the year. When I was typing these up, I wanted to like sing every one of these songs, Lisa. So it was kind of crazy. Sing them in my head, and I don't know. This is a funny story. When my little sister Cindy was being born, I stayed with my aunt and uncle, and they couldn't believe that I didn't know how to sing Santa Claus Was Coming to Town. I think I was three. And so they taught me. I remember learning that song. I know it's weird, but it was like I was learning this song before I went home after my little baby sister was born. So funny story, Hannah.
That's cute. Yeah.
All right, guys, here you go. We have here, oh yeah, I'm gonna end the poll and we have a winner. It looks like we have Silent Night at 52%. And then it looks like, Oh Come All Ye Faithful, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, and It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year are really, really close to each other. So pretty cool. Thanks everybody for voting. All right, Lisa, what is up next?
All right. Well, before we go to the next thing, I just want to quickly mention that the sweet potatoes, when you put those on the salad, you want those to be room temperature, not hot, or they'll just wilt that lettuce. Same with the rice. You don't want to put any of that stuff on hot. You want it to be room temperature so your lettuce stays crisp, you know, that base layer we had under there. All right. So now we're going to make dessert. We're going to make something called a Pavlova. Has anybody ever heard of have you, Helen? Have you heard of a Pavlova? All right. Well,
nope.
It's fun. If you've ever had a meringue cookie, it's similar to that, but more like a cake version of it. All right, so let's get started. We're gonna start with our eggs, and we want just egg whites. And there's lots of ways to get egg whites. Some people use their hand. Some people use the eggshell, right? Let's do a couple of those. So here, I'll do it with my hand. Whoops. When you do it with your hand, you just want to go back and forth. Y'all can see that. And there you go. Or you can put the whole egg in here, and you've probably seen this. I've seen this go around on the internet. And I always have a trash bowl. You should always have a trash bowl. And then you take a water bottle. See if y'all can see this. And squeeze it. And then put it right on the yolk and release. And there it is, right in your bottle. You don't even have to get your hands dirty. It actually works. Egg whites, no yolk in there. So it's perfect. Yay. All right. So what we're going to do is take 3 egg whites with just a pinch of cream of tartar, and we're going to whip it. And that takes a little while in your blender. So I already have some already done here. I've whipped it to firm peak. See, doesn't come out of there. Whoops, a little bit of moisture. It's a little warm in here, but stays in there. So that's how firm you want to whip those. And as you're whipping, and you'll get the recipe for this, you'll add some sugar just a little bit at a time. You add 3 tablespoons of sugar. Just do a tablespoon and let it whip some more. Do a tablespoon, let it whip some more. Because you want that sugar to get nicely dissolved in there. So this is fluffy. And this is your meringue. Now at this point, you could add a little cocoa if you wanted to, or maybe even a little lemon zest if you wanted it to be lemony. And then you're going to get your pan, And you want to use parchment paper, just like this. Parchment paper is a cook's best friend. You should use that for everything. All right, now we're going to take our, wipe this off, got some rice on there. And we're going to spread this out into a circle. I'm just going to put it in a blob right now. It's been sitting here a little while, so it's got some moisture. So you want to do this right after you mix it. You don't want to let it sit. All right. And now you could draw a circle, or you could just do it. It doesn't have to be perfect, like we were saying. It can look however you want it to look. But I'm going to try to get this into kind of a circle shape. Just spread it around, about an 8-inch circle. And this is low fat. You know, if you love those meringue cookies, you know, they have a little bit of sugar, but not a lot of fat. Like your typical oatmeal will use, you know, 2 sticks of butter, or your chocolate chip. So this is a good alternative for a cookie or for this Pavlova, which is Swiss. All right, so it's just a rough circle, about 8 inches. You can measure it if you want. And then we're gonna put that in the oven, and we're gonna bake it at 250 for 55 minutes. And then we're gonna turn off the oven and let it sit in there. Just like you do with meringue cookies, if you've ever made a meringue cookie. You're gonna leave it sitting in the oven until it cools. So you wanna do this when you don't have to bake something else right after. All right, I have one of these already ready to go. Pull it. And this one, I put a little cocoa in it, so it's a little brown. Yours might not be as brown as this one. And you just pull it off the parchment, and you put it on whatever kind of serving table you want to put that on. And then we're going to dress it. All right, so I have this is some whipped cream. You can make your own. You can use Cool Whip if you want. You know, I love shortcuts, so if you want to use a low-fat Cool Whip, you can use that. I have a recipe for a low-fat whipped topping that I'll give y'all in a little while. You use milk and cornstarch to kind of make a whipped topping that has no fat. Because if you're using heavy cream, that's one of the things that really adds fat and calories. Now we're going to add a little bit of Greek yogurt. This is just about a half a cup of Greek yogurt. Now this container is a little more than half a cup, so I'm not going to use it all. We're going to fold this in. Just fold it in. All right, and then we're going to add just a little bit of cocoa. And you can use whatever your favorite cocoa is, just to add a little chocolate. And the whipped topping is already sweet, so it's okay that we're not using a sweetened chocolate. And we want it to look a little marbly, so it doesn't have to be all mixed in, because you don't want your whipped topping to completely fall anyway. All right. So it's got a little protein kick from the Greek yogurt, and then the sweetness of the whipped topping. All right. And this is a super easy dessert. You just bake it in the oven and let it sit there until you're ready to make it. And then I'm using strawberries and blackberries, but you could use raspberries, you could use blueberries. We're just gonna add that all over, just however. Some of you are very crafty and can make that look really pretty. All right, and now we're going to take just a little bit of powdered sugar. And another thing you could do that some people do is fry mint leaves. Just little mint leaves, just fry them real quick, and it adds a little crispy mint flavor. Not a lot of fat, because you're going to quick fry them. They fry super quick, so they're not just sitting there soaking up oil. So that's another fun thing. And then we're just going to add some powdered sugar. Look at that. A nice low fat, but creamy, fruity, and you would just cut it just like a pie. Just cut right down into it just like a pie. Can y'all see that? It's got great color. It's light. It's trying to slide off my plate because it's very light. It's just like a meringue cookie. and it's called a Pavlova. So when someone asks what you're making for Christmas, you can tell them something they may not have heard of.
So somebody in the chat wanted to know, Lisa, what, can you say the temp and how long again?
250 degrees for 55 minutes, or until it's just starting to lightly brown, until it's crisped up. And then just turn off the oven and leave it in there probably about an hour for it to cool back down.
I see. And somebody is telling us that it's named after a famous ballerina. You said it was Swiss. So I think that's an interesting, that could be a Google search and become a Christmas trivia question.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to know about different kinds of sugar. Like when could you use a different kind of sugar?
You mean like a caster sugar or brown sugar?
I don't know. I think it came in while you were making the whipped cream, you were making the meringue. Like, is white sugar, is that what you use? Like, what kind of sugar did you use when you were whipping the sugar in?
I used white sugar. You could also use caster sugar, which is a finer sugar, and it dissolves more easily. So those would work. Powdered sugar will work. Yeah.
Somebody wants to know the nutritional, like how many calories per slice, like how many, what's the calorie count per slice, do you think?
If you did 8 slices like a pie, and those would be kind of small, it'll be about 70 calories a slice.
Okay, that sounds cool. All
Not
right.
fat. Lower in fat. And I think I did say the spinach balls were 40 calories each.
Yeah. And the recipes, people are asking us a lot of details, and she'll have this in the recipes, guys. So like how to bake it and how long and stuff like that. So that we'll follow up with that when you get the recipes, but they probably won't come until Wednesday. So hopefully that's enough time for your Christmas. We'll be sending a video. We'll edit this video, put it up on YouTube, and then in the same way that you got the link to today's Zoom, you'll get a follow-up email that will have a link to the YouTube and the recipes. So there you go. You got that. Oh, and then somebody wants to know, is there a main course? So are you doing a main course?
I am going to kind of do a main course. I'm going to show you how to cook some salmon, because we're all going to have turkey. You may have a rib roast. You may have ham. You all know how to cook that. You probably do that a traditional way. So I thought I'd show you something a little different to have in between those days.
Thank you. All right.
We always talk about, we worry about what we eat between Thanksgiving and Christmas, but you've heard the saying, what's more important is what you eat between Christmas and Thanksgiving. So keep that in mind as you kind of don't there's no bad foods, right, Helen? There's no bad foods. So just allow some things in moderation. Sit yourself next to the person that is trying to eat healthy too. And, stay away from, if you're at a house where there's a buffet, stay away. Get your food and go sit as far away from it as you can get. Just use those little tips, but still enjoy. Get your mom's best broccoli rice casserole. Put some of that on your plate. Just put more of the salad on your plate and more of the other things. So don't deprive yourself of any of that good stuff.
Yeah. Thanks. Are we doing a poll?
Yeah, let's do one.
All right. Last poll we got here is when do you open up your Christmas presents? Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, or I added this one, as soon as they arrive. So if you live by yourself, maybe you don't wait until Christmas. I don't know. I thought that one was good.
I like it.
It's an option.
Yeah. There's no wrong way.
I know. Well, sometimes, people like you to open the present as soon as you give it to them. So yeah. All right, we got a lot of people voted right away. Lots of votes. Here you go. The results are Christmas Day. Wow. Are you a Christmas Day? We're a Christmas Eve family. What are you, Lisa?
I was just noticing Shirley's comment. My kids always get a present the night before, and it's always a book and pajamas. And she was just saying they do that too. So Christmas Eve, we open one present, and then Christmas Day, all the others.
Oh, okay. Somebody wants to know if the Pavlova is in your book.
It's not. These are all new. So y'all have these. So you buy the book to get other ones.
There you go. The cookbook. I should have gotten it. I'll get it in this next break. I'll go get my book to make sure people can see it because it's an awesome book. Mine's filthy dirty. That's how much I use it. All right, Lisa, what do you got for us? Is there anything else? Are we done? I don't know.
We're going to do one more if we have time. Yeah.
We do. We have time.
One more. All right. We're going to do a salmon recipe. I'm not going to actually cook the salmon, but I'm going to show you a marinade for it because I love salmon. It's so light and fresh, and I love a good salmon recipe. So we're going to start. I have 4 tablespoons of butter, and this is for a whole salmon fillet. You know, we buy the little ones, but this is if you're doing a whole one. So you might substitute 4 pieces if that's the way you buy your salmon. So we're going to do 4 tablespoons of butter, and then we're going to add and let me just make a point too before we do mix the marinade. Whenever I cook the salmon, I'll line the baking sheet with foil and then do sliced lemon and just lay those slices all the way under where I'm going to put the salmon. And I just crimp up the aluminum foil around it just to keep all those juices in, and then lay that salmon on top of those sliced lemons. And then we're going to take 4 tablespoons of butter. It's kind of warm in here. All right. And then we're going to add lemon juice. Just cut this lemon. And we're also going to add 2 tablespoons of honey, just to give a little pop of sweetness. 2 tablespoons of honey. All right. 1, 2. Like how I'm measuring this? If you came to our Christmas party, then you know I gave the tip where you spray your tablespoon measuring spoon with cooking spray, and then your honey will slide right out. So if you want to really measure it, you can do it that way, and your honey will slide right out. All right, mixing up the butter and the honey. And then you can put 2, here they are, 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. I think I didn't have it. There we go. Mix. Then I like to add fresh thyme if you can get it. If you don't have an herb garden, you should, because herbs are so easy to grow. My thyme is huge, and of course, I live way down south, you know, in Galveston, so my growing season is a little longer. But definitely put it in your window. To get these fresh herbs, it just really makes a difference. So I'm just pulling these off. Just gonna chop these up. Just a rough chop. And this is about a teaspoon of fresh thyme. All right. And then I'm gonna add a teaspoon of, well, that was oregano, sorry. Some of you are probably looking at that. That didn't look like thyme. Here's the thyme here. So pull that off. You just slide right down the stem to pull that off. Whoops. You gotta pull it the right way. I was pulling it the wrong way. And you'll know when you try to pull it, they don't slide right off, you're doing it the wrong way. All right, just gonna chop that up. Just another teaspoon. All right, mix that up. And there you go, and then you just pour it right over your salmon fillet, and it works for just about any fish. It's just a quick, easy, it's a little sweet. You want to put salt and pepper on your salmon fillet before you pour the sauce on both sides. You always want to salt and pepper your salmon fillet on both sides before you lay it on that lemon layer, and then pour this butter honey sauce, herb sauce right on top. And you bake it about 20 minutes if it's a big 3-pound salmon fillet, just till it flakes easy with a fork. And it's just a good light alternative in between your turkey and your ham and your roast or whatever you have for holidays. All right, any questions about salmon? How do you make your salmon?
We like to grill our salmon, but in a similar way that you do it. Like we put the skin, I put a lot of olive oil and put the skin down first and let it get really crunchy. And then I spritz it with some olive oil and flip it over. And then my husband likes the skin peeled off. So that's how we do it. So, and I feel like the skin on the top while it's cooking holds in the steam, you know, like it cooks the rest of the fish. So I would say grilling, for sure. Grilling, I think. We live in Hawaii. We like to keep the heat out of the house, you know, so So
And that's a good tip though about salmon. If you're cooking it on the stovetop or grilling, you want to do skin side down and let that get crispy before you even flip it, because you want that good sear on that skin. You're
yeah,
organic.
I love lemon juice on it though.
Yeah.
So that's a really good idea. I like olive oil, so I use a lot of olive oil, garlic, lemon juice. That's what I would go for. But I have had the sweetener, like I've done that before. Also, another good thing is that Dijon mustard. I know that sounds weird, but just putting it all over the top of it, just that's all you need. That's the flavor to put on top of the salmon, which is yummy. So.
Yeah. And even in that sauce, if you don't have honey, you can use brown sugar. It works just as well.
Cool. Well, I wanted to put in a plug for Lisa's cookbook. In case you haven't had it, you can buy it. You can buy it on Amazon, but you can go to First Place for Health and you can get it on our website and add other things. We have a couple of Christmas cooking bundles if you want to add stuff. But I like to show people, mine is really starting to fall apart, which is the sign of a really good cookbook. And it's kind of filthy dirty, especially, I'm going to tell you, the chicken fettuccine is probably the recipe in this book that I've cooked the most. But I loved there's so many things, the egg in the pepper. I was telling her the oatmeal breakfast cookies, so good. The breakfast cookies are yum, and I freeze them and they're always available. Anyway, there's so many different things, but try that cookbook. Once again, healthy, happy cooking. And Lisa, what you're bringing back the family table with healthy, delicious, and simple recipes, which is so yum. So
yeah, so we can spend our time with our family, not in the kitchen.
I know. And I love that at the Christmas party we learned that we don't have to be perfect. That was awesome that we learned that. You had a lot of really good helpful tips too, so that's cool.
I think we're the only ones who expect us to be perfect. No one else does. So
that could very well be true. We're recovering perfectionisms.
Yeah,
so.
They love it no matter what's out there. They're just happy to have somebody else serving them food. So yeah.
That's so funny because I know a lot of you guys have already done the Joy Adventure, but my group, this is our celebration is this week, and it was the joy in the battle, and one of them is about perfectionism, like being the battle. And I'm reading that one. I was like, oh my goodness. Perfect timing for Christmas to hear that.
Yeah.
So, All right, Diane Andrews says the pumpkin breakfast cookies are good too. So the pumpkin breakfast cookies sounds good. All right, I don't have any more.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
They're good on the go, like you were talking about, Helen. You can freeze them and you can have them you have to run out and do stuff.
Absolutely.
Easy.
Well, everybody, we're so glad you're here and we're glad you joined us. As we said, we'll be sending a follow-up email. You can go to our First Place for Health website at any time and go under events, and you'll see I just loaded today the February webinar. The January webinar is about nutrition and healthy eating, about the overwhelmed. So I'm looking forward to that. And so the webinar in February is more about the beloved woman. And so a little spiritual aspect there. So I'm excited about that. And this webinar, you might want to watch it again, and you can watch it on YouTube or go back to our YouTube channel. And the easiest way to find our YouTube channel is to go to our website, fp4h.com, and at the very top, there's a little link to Facebook, there's a little link to YouTube, and if you click on that little YouTube icon, it goes right to our YouTube channel. And that's the very fastest way I find to go, and then subscribe, and then you get a little notice. All right, we have Joy Tucker, who has provided us what a Pavlova is, and if you guys check out the chat, you'll see that it is a meringue-based dessert named after the Russian ballerina Anna Pavlova. So thank you so much. So we had a couple people saying that was from Australia. So it said that she had it, or somebody created it. What is it? The dessert is believed to have been created in honor of the dancer, either on one of her tours in Australia or New Zealand. Wow, very cool. Well, we really thank you all. Please, we love you. We're thankful. Lisa, thank you so much. You're always just, we love having you. It's just wonderful. I get to work with Lisa every day, so it's an honor. But I only get to cook in her kitchen with her when we do these webinars. So Lisa, would you pray us out of here, please?
Yes. Father, I just thank you for each person here, Lord. I pray that they leave just blessed and renewed and just ready to get back in the kitchen and just serve, Lord, and also that they're relaxed, that they're peace. They have peace in the kitchen. They're not worried about things being perfect, Lord, and whether they did this thing or that thing, Lord. Just putting a delicious meal that they can share with whoever shows up to the table to share, Lord. And I just pray you bless them this Christmas. And we love you and thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.